All right, everybody, welcome to Talking Taker, episode number 36 of our encyclopedic exploration digging up the career of the greatest professional wrestling character of all time. We thank you yet again for joining us for another round of Dead Man Talking. My name is Alex Dorio. I am one of your co-hosts, and I am joined, as always, by my tag team partner, my wrestling buddy, my fellow creature of the night, Travis White. Travis, how's the weather where you are right now?
How's the weather?
Yeah, how's the weather?
It's definitely not cold. It's definitely not cold.
It's not
a cold day. No. Not a cold day in hell here.
Okay, so I guess you're not in hell. That's good to know, because apparently it is.
Nope.
It is a cold day in hell here on Talking Taker. We are covering the May 1997 edition of In Your House with a kind of, I think, a forgotten match, kind of an overlooked match with The Undertaker defending. Yeah, The Undertaker defending the WWF Championship in May of 97 against Stone Cold Steve Austin. Got myself.
Yeah, that guy. He's so good.
Took my breath away.
Yeah. Yeah, man. You know, we've reviewed a couple of their Raw matches. I don't think I even realized this match happened. I thought the first time they met on pay-per-view would have been in '98. So this was neat to go back and watch, and especially all the small build-up. It's neat to see some of these Raws and what all is transpiring here. So pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, I'm guessing you probably had never seen this one before.
Nope.
I'd never seen this one before. I don't remember ever renting this video or ever even seeing it. I don't know if it got a super wide release, but yeah, this was one of the ones going through the list, your spreadsheet of matches. I was real excited about seeing it because I'd never seen this one, and like you said, we've seen a few their Raw matches. So I was real intrigued by this one, seeing Undertaker and Stone Cold go at it in the main event of this pay-per-view. So let's dig into how it happened, why it happened, and what happened when it happened.
Yes, and who it happened to.
And who it happened to.
Yeah, exactly. Who, what, when, where, why, and how. Yeah,
it starts off, we're...
I was going to say, speaking of spreadsheet, we're going to have to amend that spreadsheet yet again, because... takes Royal Rumble in a casket match. He's facing the great Chris Jericho as of this recording. So that's pretty neat.
Pretty
cool.
We'll
get to that eventually.
Yeah. I mean, you said as of this recording because the match, I thought we were going to talk about on this episode the surprising announcement that Undertaker was going to fight Rusev in a casket match at the Greatest Royal Rumble. But just a couple days after that being announced and confirmed, it's been changed around to Chris Jericho, which I love.
Yep.
I celebrate Rusev Day every day, but
yes,
to me it's an upgrade. Seeing Chris Jericho and Undertaker battle in a casket match, come on, that's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, one of their few one-on-one encounters, but we'll cover that in a couple years on this podcast. Anyway,
we may drop in some initial reaction in a few weeks when it happens, but yeah, we'll do a whole podcast on it one day.
Yeah, and all the wonderful build-up to it. That'll be a 20-second podcast. Anyway,
it'll be like one of our early episodes, the 25-minute episodes.
Yeah. Not a lot of stuff happened back then. So, but here we are in 1997, coming off our last podcast. We covered, what was that one? In Your House, Revenge of the Taker.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here we are. The night that was the whole snafu with the lighting the flash paper and that huge, horrible mess of a botchamania. And we mentioned on that episode that episode of Raw preceding that was so bad that Vince McMahon made a booking change, booking committee, as Tony Schiavone would say, change. And Vince Russo becomes a head time writer. And as far as I could tell, all the research I've done the last week or so has led me to confirm that this Raw of April 21st, 97 was in fact Vince Russo's first Raw. And it definitely shows with the epic storytelling throughout. This is a classic episode of Monday Night Raw. Not necessarily for The Undertaker, but for everything else that transpires. His opponent, Steve Austin, that we're going to cover here. All the stuff that happens on this episode of Raw with him and Bret Hart is fantastic, man.
Oh yeah,
Watching this.
I mean, this is the Stone Cold show, and I guess we have Vince Russo to thank for that. He is all over this episode of Raw, and it has really, if you go back and watch this episode, it has all the Vince Russo trademarks. I mean, there is a whole month's worth of storylines that they blow through in this episode of Raw. It feels like it's just jam-packed with stuff. It ends with Brian Pillman coming back and attacking Stone Cold. Really, really cool stuff. But yeah, so much going on here, and so much cool stuff. I will say, though, I was not a fan of the... did you see this Iron Man match between Rockabilly and Jesse James? It felt like it was about 75 minutes
let's just
long.
Skip that.
It
did. It did. It was awful.
Lord. Oh, man.
Oh, man. But in all seriousness, getting the beginning of this episode, again, this is April 20th verse. Austin comes out, and I think... JR on commentary just tells us, here's your number one contender for the WWF title. He'll be meeting Taker at In Your House 15 on May 11th. So, again, just kind of randomly naming people. Same happened last month with Mankind. Thank God for JR to let us know who the number one contender is.
Yeah, and we'll continue to see that in next month's episode as well, and maybe some future ones. I don't know if we're missing something on Superstars or Shotgun Saturday Night or something, because, they're just naming these... number one, there's no number one contenders matches. There's nothing, and I think it probably goes back to what we've talked about a little bit in how it really seems like everything's in flux in the WWF right now. The booking plans. I mean, this is the beginning of that era of where things are changing week to week, day to day. It's not the time of WrestleMania 4 and 5 where it's like, okay, we know we're gonna get here. We know what we're going to do a year out from now. We're going to book towards that and build towards that. It's not Vince McMahon and Pat Patterson and Bruce Pritchard sitting around the pool booking everything out. It is, okay, we got to fill 2 hours of TV. Let's just start throwing stuff at the wall. Oh, crap, we got another pay-per-view this month. Oh, put Stone Cold in there. Whatever. We'll figure out a way to get there. And, that's just that seems to be evident in these episodes of Raw.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel you. And not Mankind, he lost the night before at In Your House, Revenge of the Taker, and he has a little backstage promo here. So we're not letting go of that story just yet. But he talks about how Uncle Paul, Paul Bearer, talks about his burning flesh from the night before and how he never cried, which I think I pointed out, or you and I both pointed out, that Paul Bearer didn't really sell the fireball to the face, and he just ate. But Mankind kind of covers it here, saying how tough he is, and he's disfigured now, but he didn't cry, he didn't whine about it, he just took it like a man. So I wonder if they're covering for that, if it's just part of the genius of Mick Foley. I don't know, but anyway, that's just a little lingering thread, kind of to remember here as the Undertaker continues his throughout the summer.
It's going to get pushed to the back here for this build-up to this pay-per-view, but it is going to play a huge role throughout the summer and into the fall of the Undertaker storylines. And with that fireball, we talked about how it was botched the night before, but they re-showed it here during this show. They showed it from a lot better camera angles, made it look a lot... Tried to save it on the video. They even re-recorded some of the commentary, and because we noted on the pay-per-view that the commentators are just like confused. They don't even know what's happening. So if you go back and watch it, it's different commentary than what was the night before. They're trying to sell it a lot bigger. So if you missed the pay-per-view, then you had no idea that it was this horrible botch and that it was terrible to watch. That they saved it, made it look a lot cooler. And the fireball is going to play into...
That's interesting.
Yeah. It's going to play into what happens in The Undertaker's match here. He's going to fight Triple H in a pretty cool main event here on Raw. It's not a bad match either. It was pretty good. I thought it was one of the better TV matches we've seen. Undertaker and Triple H. Triple H really starting to come into his own as a worker. And it ends with Mankind getting involved in a pretty interesting way.
Oh, man. He comes out the top of the ramp with a blowtorch, which, if you haven't seen it, guys, it's basically a gas can or gas tank, like a propane tank almost. He's carrying, almost like a fire extinguisher, giant hose on the end of it, and then like a lighter where he can, light it and have a flame coming out. So
Yeah.
he's got that. So the commentary is like, he's gonna burn Undertaker. He's gonna burn him. So he makes his way down to the apron. Does he burn him?
No.
No. He slams his head with the tank part of it to cause a DQ.
Come on.
I know, what a missed opportunity there to burn him, or at least look like you're gonna burn him. So he hits him with that and causes a DQ, and then he tries to light the torch. Did you notice how he couldn't get the thing to light?
Yeah.
Again, the torch. And,
Mankind not the best with fire objects, flaming objects.
So Taker grabs him by the throat. Him and Mankind whistles him and then chases him crowd. That's kind of so again. They're supposed to be building toward Austin and Undertaker, but we're still continuing the Mankind feud here, which is strange. So, yeah. Anyway, but after this part of Raw, Austin has an interview, and he tells Undertaker to bring his belt so he can pass it over to Austin at the pay-per-view. And he said, you can bring your creatures of the night, you can bring all your tombstones. I don't even care. And then at the end of that's when Brian Pillman returns and attacks Steve Austin. So, pretty cool Raw.
It is cool. It's it's weird, but I kind of like this thing, and we're going to see it here in the next couple weeks too. Everybody's got a lot of different things going on because Stone Cold's feuding with the Hart Foundation. He's feuding with all these guys, but he's feuding with Undertaker too. Undertaker's feuding with Steve Austin, but he's feuding with Mankind and Paul Bearer as well. Everybody's got all these different threads going on, and they're all intermingling and going on. And Shawn Michaels is playing into all this too. So you have to watch the entire show because people, all your favorite guys are involved, and all the different storylines are bleeding into each other. I mean, it's an Attitude Era, really a signature thing of it.
Sure.
And when done well, it's really, really cool. When done bad, and we'll see it done poorly as well, it's pretty rough to watch also. But, it's done really well here.
Was this the ambulance episode? I can't remember if it was this week or the next week, with Austin's in the ambulance speeding up.
I think
I think that was this week. Anyway,
I think it's this week. I didn't write it down on my notes, but I think it's this week.
So yeah, me neither, because we're not focusing on him, but then that's playing into the whole Bret Hart and Hart Foundation Stone Cold feud. But anyway, this is the episode that
it's got to be this.
Austin pops out of the ambulance and beats the crap out of Bret Hart and all this stuff. So that's
Classic
when
stuff.
at the end when Brian Pillman returns. If those of you remember that Brian Pillman and Steve Austin had the gun angle at his house back in like October the year before, this is the continuation of that. So anyway, well, yeah, it's a really good thing. Everybody has a part. Everybody has the storyline. Everybody has a storyline on this episode of Raw. No matter if it's a jobber, or Jesse James, or Cheek, or what, they've all got a storyline.
Well, one thing that was not a storyline that they turned into a storyline that we could talk about real quick is they show footage on this episode of Raw, and it's perfect. I don't know, I couldn't find the exact date of when this happened, but it's around then, and perfect time to talk about it. I don't know when else we would talk about it, but this is the infamous incident where Vader and The Undertaker were on a news program in Kuwait. And Vader attacked the reporter for asking if professional wrestling was fake, if it was acting, if it was choreographed. This was a legit shoot incident. Vader and Taker were there to promote the episode of Raw in Kuwait. The interviewer first asked Undertaker. You can go back and watch a YouTube clip. They don't really show The Undertaker's involvement in this segment on TV, but you can go back and watch a YouTube clip. He asked The Undertaker, is wrestling fake? Is it staged? And The Undertaker, it's pretty neat because he's out of character. He's got sunglasses on. He looks like Biker Taker. Looks like Mark Calloway. He plays.
Still got the teardrop, though.
He does still have the teardrop. He responds saying, well, he's basically trying to... you can tell he's pissed off by the question, but he's trying to keep his calm.
They say this wrestling is not for real. Is it like you act or?
Well, let's put it this way. What we do, if it is acting, we take a normal man and break him in half. You know, that's such an unoriginal question for someone to ask. You know, and it's so easy for people to pass judgment and make all these questions about what wrestling is. Wrestling is one of the finest athletic endeavors that you will ever see. Not only do you get the best of athletics, but you get people who can actually sell tickets by just their character alone. There's several people who could care whether or not I can wrestle or not. But the message that I bring when I go to the ring, my creatures of the night, they don't care what it is. But let me assure you, it's the most physical thing that you would ever do in your life.
He gives like the nicest mean response I've ever heard. It's so like it's the nicest rude response. It's so great. But yeah, he keeps his calm, keeps his cool, and yeah. Vader.
Yeah.
The man they call Vader.
Vader goes into business for himself, man. He protecting the business, dude. He's doing what guys have been trained to do for years and years, and grabs this guy by his tie. The interviewer flips the table over and ends up getting arrested and put in jail in Kuwait for like 2 weeks until this whole thing blows over. They probably just bribed the officials there to get him out of the country, and it was pretty famous, infamous incident. And they actually used it to build up Vader's character. But it's a little, the Undertaker plays a small part in that as well. So I just wanted to mention that before we jump into the next episode of Raw 207 on April 28th.
We'll find that clip and put it up on our social media account so you guys can enjoy that, because it is neat to see Undertaker out of character at this point.
Yeah, still
maintaining his cool.
Yeah, I mean it's very rare back then.
Yeah, but yeah, next week's Raw, as far as building this match, Undertaker and Stone Cold, there's a Titantron promo where Undertaker says that Stone Cold's got all this momentum, but you're distracted, by the Hearts. So if you come in distracted, you're going to leave worse than you made Bret Hart leave in a wheelchair. Like, you're going to leave this match worse than Bret Hart leaves in a wheelchair. So I thought that was pretty cool, and he gives the old rest in peace. You're going to rest in peace. And I believe the main event of this episode is British Bulldog versus The Undertaker.
Yeah.
Another neat episode here, because previously, or earlier on in the night, Owen Hart wins the Intercontinental title. So he and Bulldog are the tag champs. He wins the Intercontinental title, and Bulldog is the European champ. So that's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool. I always like those storylines where one faction kind of ends up with all the gold. They did it, Four Horsemen, of course. Evolution did it, and we've seen it, numerous other times in other factions. I'm a sucker for that sort of stuff.
Undisputed
and you just got this dominant group. Yeah, they're doing it in NXT now.
Yeah.
Owen Hart, man. Owen Hart and Bulldog. God, just watching this episode just made me miss them so much, because obviously everyone loves Bret Hart, and you point to Bret Hart when you talk about the Hart Foundation angle and just how incredible of a heel he was, but man, Owen and Bulldog are just off the charts good in their roles. They're cracking me up with their comedy. Owen and Bret are on the ramp as Bulldog goes to the ring to face Undertaker, and they stand up there and watch the match, and the bell tolls for Undertaker's entrance, and Owen Hart's facial reaction is just priceless when it happens. Looks like he craps his pants.
I know.
Just, man, like...
The little things, man. He got the little things right, Owen Hart did. He was so good. And even the comedy, like when the previous week's episode, when they're putting Bret in the ambulance, he's like, "Watch his leg, you idiot!" Like, just the little things
yes.
he says are just so funny, man. He's so good. That's why I named my son after him.
I mean, can you imagine if those guys were like trainers in NXT or agents or just anywhere involved in WWE nowadays? Just, it would be incredible. Doing commentary, I don't know. They would have so much to offer, and obviously. Eddie Guerrero, terrible tragedy. Chris Benoit, a horrible loss in many, many ways. But being robbed of Owen and Bulldog's, the contributions they could give to the business is just one of the saddest things to think about. Man, just depressing.
Yeah, I know. It sucks. But move on to something bigger and better here.
Bulldog takes on Undertaker. Of course, that's a rematch of one of the Undertaker's only title defenses from his original title reign. We only see a couple minutes of it between commercial breaks, but yeah, man, the heat is off the charts on these TV shows. The crowd's into all of it. And of course, Owen and Bulldog Owen and Brett interfere, or Hart Foundation interferes, Pillman interferes. They're beating down the Undertaker. Austin runs out to save the Undertaker and to beat up on the Harts. And we get a little more build up between Austin and Undertaker as he grabs the Undertaker's belt, heads to the top rope and starts posing with it. Undertaker's obviously not happy about this, so he gets in the ring all pissed off. Austin slams the belt down in front of him, gives him the stunner, and then flips him off, man, which is just gets some huge heat off of that. And he starts posing over him, flipping him off, standing over him, and this was awesome. Undertaker just sticks his hand up, chokes Steve Austin. Austin's eyes just bug out of his head. He sells it perfectly. Undertaker gets up and just lifts him up to the heavens to choke slams him. Man, huge. Austin takes a massive bump off of this. Really, really well done. The crowd is loving it. Austin sells it perfectly and rolls out of the ring. And as he rolls out of the ring, he realizes Bret Hart is all by himself out on the entryway, sitting in a wheelchair, and just runs up and attacks him, which is just really well done. Everything about this is just perfectly laid out.
Well, it makes sense. Things make sense here. We don't talk too much about the current product, but when Charlotte got beat down and lost her title on the cash-in the other day at SmackDown, where was her friend Becky Lynch?
Nowhere to be seen.
Well, here everybody has a reason for why they're there and why they're here on this episode of Raw here. So Neidhart comes back at this point. He returns. I think because Brian Pillman legit twisted his ankle the week before. Mm-hmm. So they had to bring Neidhart back to work some six-man tags. Anyway, he throws Austin off the stage, and Austin does a stretcher job. So, which I didn't remember that at all. But but it's funny how all this chaos taking place on Raw and this stuff with the Hart Foundation and Austin Taker. It's funny how it mimics all this NWO stuff from even the year before. It worked for WCW, and it's working for WWF at this time too. So pretty funny to see.
It's funny to see, and what else is funny is on Raw 208 on May 5th, Ahmed Johnson heard your complaints, dude.
Is this where he wears the pajama pants?
He wears sweatpants when he wrestles, man. No more butt cheek. He must have been listening.
I rip on his butt cheek all the time. So yeah, he put some PJs on. I went to the Mick Foley outfit store, got some pajamas, wrestles a match on national television in sweat.
Well, I mean, he was wrestling rockabilly, so he probably just didn't care. So what does it matter what he's wearing? Yeah, pretty much. Everyone's gonna change the channel when that match comes on anyway.
Yeah, he wasn't gonna waste his butt cheek on that match. Never. Go ahead.
Well, this episode is just very confusing, and not just because of Ahmed's fashion wear. Let's try and figure out what exactly happened here. I want to hear what you thought happened, because I'm not sure. The Undertaker does an interview in the ring with Vince McMahon, and the story apparently is that someone has stolen his title belt. And it's really interesting because Vince McMahon calls it a belt, which we know he doesn't like to do anymore. So, again, we talked about he used the word hospital on last week's episode, and here he is using the word belt.
Yeah, Undertaker says,
"So rest assured, before this fateful night is over, the wretched soul who took the belt of the creatures will pay, and pay dearly. And as far as Stone Cold Steve Austin goes, the flame that is your fury will be extinguished by the darkness. Austin, I respect the flame, but it'll be a cold day in hell before you become World Wrestling Federation champion."
So I guess they had to get that line in there, the cold day in hell.
Yeah, you got to work
it
that
hadn't
in.
been said yet. But again, noted here, his theme music plays the entire promo again, like you mentioned last week's episode. But yeah, so he says someone has stolen his WWF title, which I assumed it was Austin from the week before when we just recapped that episode about how he'd take the belt from him. I thought, maybe I missed that. He actually, not so fast, my friend. That's not who took it. As we'll find out later on in the evening. So
I was confused as well. I thought I missed something on, like I said, on Shotgun or Superstars or something. Maybe I fast forwarded through something on this episode of Raw. I was very confused, but yeah, I just assumed. And the way they're building it up, they're teasing that it was Stone Cold who stole the belt. So that comes into play in the main event of the night with Stone Cold taking on British Bulldog. British Bulldog in the main event. Well, before we get to that, there is something incredible that happens before this match. Sonny comes out wearing a Stone Cold Steve Austin t-shirt, and they're trying to sell this t-shirt, doing a little ad in the arena, and Doc Hendricks...
Oh, man.
Doc Hendricks delivers a bit of poetry advertising this Stone Cold Steve Austin t-shirt, and I thought I might try to recite that for all the listeners out there, and for you as well.
Please.
Would you indulge me?
Absolutely. Go right ahead.
Okay. So this is Doc Hendricks' ode to Sonny wearing an Austin 316 t-shirt. Well, it's that time again. Time to let the sunshine in. Looking like that, she's the hottest thing on the scene. Showing off a t-shirt. Austin 316. Austin 316 on the front, Stone Cold Skull on the back. Only $20 plus shipping and handling, and that is a fact. Comes in small, medium, large, extra large, and double XL. This t-shirt is for those who like to raise a little hell. Ooh, do it, Sonny. Thank you.
Oh, wait, poetry. Yeah.
Snap.
Wow, that was mind-blowing.
It's beautiful. Thank you.
How long did it take him to write that, you think?
Dude, he did that on the spot. I guarantee you.
That came off the top of his head. Is this one more? And Jerry Lawler says, "You know I like to see that shirt. Where Lawler? On the floor next to my bed." And I was like, "Oh, you can't."
Exactly.
Oh man,
yep.
He'd be fired today. That was horrible. Man, good job, Doctor. Good on you for. I don't know.
I mean, I had to share that. That's one of the most beautiful poems I've ever heard. As I said, that plays into the main event: Stone Cold versus British Bulldog. Again, this is more chaos here at the end. The Hart Foundation interferes, then everybody comes out. Legion of Doom comes out. Yeah. Furnace and LaFon, of all people, come out. HBK comes out. Then lights go out. Undertaker appears.
Vince calls them the Road Warriors. Did you catch that?
No, I did not.
He says, "Here come the Road Warriors," and you know, because that was. You can't use that. That's WCW, you know. He rebranded them as Legion of Doom, you know. So he was like, "Here come the Road Warriors." I was like, "Whoa!"
Little slip.
Somehow, Furnace and LaFon got dragged into this like Hart Foundation. I don't know if they were gonna be put in the Hart Foundation, and then they weren't. But somehow they're in this melee and they're attacking everyone. They have no dog in the fight. They're just beating up everyone. And then that's when everyone's brawling. The lights go out and the lights come back up, and Undertaker just magically appears in the ring. I just haven't seen quite as much of that recently here in his run, so that was cool to see.
So, did the belt also just magically appear in the ring, or did somebody have it? This was what I was confused about, and maybe I missed it as I was watching it.
I don't know. I didn't see Owen have it, but at some point, it winds up that Owen has the belt, and they're like, "Oh, Owen was the one who took the belt." I was like, I don't know, man. It just seemed like, like a MacGuffin in the movies, somebody's chasing after, and it makes no sense. It was a strange storyline, but at least they played throughout the episode. Anyway, I don't know. Somebody else out there knows what happened, please let us know.
Well, it gets passed around during this brawl, and Austin ends up with it. Taker snatches it from him, kind of lays it out like a line in the sand in the middle of the ring. Austin tries to walk away, and Undertaker starts just wailing on him. Big pull apart brawl to end the show. Maybe I guess what they're trying to do, now that you say that, is maybe the Hart Foundation is just trying to stir up stuff between Taker and Austin. And Taker and Austin aren't trusting each other, so it's making them fight each other more, and the Hart Foundation is just playing them against each other.
Sure.
But
that makes sense.
Didn't come off really clear on TV, and it's really cool build up, but honestly, it's not really making me want to see Undertaker versus Steve Austin. I'm invested in what's happening, but probably not buying this pay-per-view back in the day just to see that match.
Goodness, no. There's no way I would put the money down for this pay-per-view.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, they only had 3 episodes of Raw to build it with, and one was the night after a pay-per-view, and one's 6 days before, so they really only had 1 week in between. They didn't really do anything else, so that was their own fault for scheduling it like that.
Yeah.
Kind of like they did the other pay-per-views that were every other week apart. So anyway, but yeah, they got a brawl as Raw goes off the air, and that brings us to In Your House from Richmond, Virginia. That's a classic venue, man.
Oh yeah.
You hear a lot of the Jim Crockett stuff and WCW and even WWF stuff at Richmond Coliseum. So what a classic place. Too bad they got this show.
Yeah, and too bad it was on Mother's Day. Why would you book a pay-per-view on Mother's Day? Like, can you imagine trying to beg your mom to watch a WWF pay-per-view on Mother's Day? Like,
yeah, that night.
You're never getting away with that, man.
No.
Not a chance.
Not unless your mom is, I don't know, related to one of these guys. I have no idea how you're gonna get on
or dating one.
Fork out the money. Or that's true. So yeah, but here we are, May 11th, 97, Mother's Day. Which I mean, I wouldn't have had any idea unless JR said it. Happy Mother's Day, he says. It opens with a voiceover and a video. Various clips of Taker and Austin, but it's not a lot of clips of them together. It's kind of just like clips of them apart and a little bit from the last week when they brawl. But again, it's not much build up, so it's hard to make a video package of the story that's being told here.
Yeah, they're just kind of trying to sell it as sort of like we mentioned a few weeks ago, just kind of like a tough man contest. These two biggest tough guys in the WWF right now, and they're gonna duke it out and have a big old fight with each other. So that's the best way they're trying to sell it. Stone Cold.
I wish they said, "Let's duke it out." That'd be awesome.
Oh man, that would have been
you
great.
and me, duke it out. Cold damn hell. I think that's something like Aiden English should say nowadays,
Absolutely.
or like Jack Gallagher.
Yeah, that could be his catchphrase.
Yeah.
Stone Cold has a quick little interview. He doesn't say that. He says,
"I don't know if the Undertaker's checked the weather lately, but I'll be damned if hell ain't about to freeze over, and that's the bottom line."
Stone Cold with the one-liners. And King has a good one-liner as Stone Cold is about to enter the arena. He says, "If Stone Cold ran the country, the national bird would be the finger."
Yes, I wrote that down too. I was going to share that. Oh yeah, that was great, man. He is classic, man, and classic JR too. And one thing, again, building the storyline between the Hart Foundation and Austin. Apparently, the Harts had some seats in the front row, and they got kicked out. And so then they went on the street and bought some tickets from some scalpers, and they bought the front row seats. The Hart Foundation and Brian Pillman. They make sure to say Brian Pillman is not in the Hart Foundation.
Right.
The Hart Foundation and Brian Pillman. Anyway, they buy the first five rows right there, first 5 seats in the front row right there. So that'll come into play.
It will, and again, that's the whole idea here, is that Stone Cold is distracted by the Hart Foundation. He has so much going on here. Undertaker, even though he's got stuff with Mankind on the back burner, that hasn't played as much into this match, but Stone Cold has to deal with the Hart Foundation interfering. He has to deal with their rivalry with him, as well as his fight with the Undertaker, and it's going to be too much for him to deal with both. And the Hart Foundation are going to mess with the Undertaker as well, but they're really more out there to mess with Stone Cold Steve Austin. So yeah, the match.
Sure. Well, speaking of Stone Cold, when he comes out for his entrance, JR says he's got the disposition of a rattlesnake, and I don't remember hearing that maybe on Raw or something. But I don't remember hearing that on a pay-per-view yet. But again, we haven't covered strictly Austin stuff. But this was it just was significant enough for me to write it down that he's pointing out the rattlesnake thing right at this point in his career. Which again, that's what they still call him, the rattlesnake. So I just thought it was neat, But there's no real new additions to the entrance or outfit of Undertaker. And that's one thing we try to focus on here on Talking Taker. Although when he brings the lights up, he raises his arms and lights come up. The thunder rolls. Watch that? They have in the background.
I wish that would have been his entrance music for a WrestleMania or something. Thunder rolls.
He raises his arms and the thunder rolls. That'd be great, man.
Garth Brooks just flies out of nowhere.
Oh, he and Undertaker probably have some of the same T-shirts. They enjoy those.
They're probably best friends, man. I feel like they would be.
Yeah,
drinking buddies.
So.
It's just a great atmosphere in the arena for this match. The crowd. It's we've talked about a couple episodes ago. We talked about babyface versus babyface matches and how it can be kind of weird, but
yeah,
I think because these guys both straddle the line so much, it really works because they're both able. Austin kind of plays heel somewhat. Undertaker kind of plays heel somewhat during this match, and the crowd is into it the whole time. It really felt like it was a really cool atmosphere in here. And Stone Cold is just so over on an incredible level at this point. And it's still early into his rise, but he's still over huge. And Undertaker is just always over. So the crowd's into everything that they're doing. And Stone Cold kicks things off. He attacks Undertaker before Undertaker can even get his gear off. So they're trading punches. Undertaker's still got the belt on around his waist while they're starting to fight in the beginning of the match.
It reminded me of, remember when Chris Jericho used to do that intentionally on Nitro? He'd wrestle with his cruiserweight title on and stuff. It reminded me of that, man. I popped huge for that. He's still got his jacket, his belt on, and even when Undertaker goes on the offense in a second, he turns things around. He's still got the belt on, shooting Austin into the ropes and clothes on him and stuff, still with the belt on. Thought that was pretty neat.
So. It's pretty funny. Austin goes to the outside, gets thrown out by Undertaker, and that's when Hart Foundation gets involved the first time because Austin he gets tossed over towards the Hart Foundation and just pulls Owen Hart out over the guardrail and starts wailing on him, starts punching at Davey Boy. So, we can tell that this is going to play a factor into this match.
Yeah. Being completely unprovoked. Like, he just grabs him over and beats the crap out of them. So, pretty cool. And back in the ring, Austin's in control, and Undertaker then hits a flying clothesline, and he goes for old school again. I didn't realize how early on in these matches he would do old school. I always thought it was more of a later match thing, but it's early on in these matches he would do it. So he does that, and then Austin goes a little heel here, and he gives a thumb to the eye. The ref doesn't see it. He pokes him in the eye, and that gets a good boo from the crowd. Again, like you said, they're both playing. They can both play face or heel here in this match, and they do, and the crowd does eat it up. But they are quiet during this next part where Austin works a really long headlock spot. So
it's pretty long. I will say, the Undertaker is trying to fight out of it. They do a lot of things where he's trying to pin Steve Austin out, trying to turn it into a pinning combination. So, like we say, both these guys are pros. It's not a rest hold, really. They're trying to just, cool the crowd down just so they can bring them back up again, but they're keeping them invested. They're doing things into it. And really, this whole match, it's, I noticed this as I was watching. There's no big giant high spots. There's no jumps out of the ring. It's more of a psychological battle, and it's more of a brawl than technical. But they're working holds. They're working body parts, and the story of the match kind of is they're both trying to take out the other one's leg. So they're doing different things to do that. Austin ends up trying to wrap Undertaker's leg around the post multiple times, and then Taker will go back and do the same thing. They're both trying to keep each other off their feet.
Yeah, and I want to mention the commentary at this part too, because JR explains that. Again, that's
Yeah.
what a good commentator is supposed to do, is supposed to tell the story of the match. And he's explaining, Undertaker is working Austin's leg, so he won't have as much strength on the stunner, and can't kick him in the stomach for the stunner, and he can't stand and hold the weight for a tombstone or a chokeslam. So I just thought that was, JR there's nobody better than him. He's when he's on his level, when he's at his best, he's so good. Another thing I want to mention on commentary is Jerry Lawler keeps calling the Hearts fans. He's like, Austin keeps attacking our fans. I just like it. And JR's like, they're not fans. He's like, they bought tickets, they're fans. So I just thought that was hilarious. He just completely unprovoked. He's provoking these fans on the outside. It's just such good heel work from Jerry Lawler. Man, so good.
He committed to that. He did it the entire match. It was hilarious. And he was given.
I wouldn't have thought of that if I was on commentary. He
was so into it, and he was given good stuff as well. He was given good analysis because as the match goes on, King points out that both of these guys came in with a strategy to attack the other one's leg, and now they both got to change their strategy because their legs have been taken out, and he points that out. So it's really cool. People crap on the King, say he's just dirty old man, just telling goofy jokes, and I mean, he does do both of those things, but he's also a brilliant wrestling mind, and he understands what they're doing, and he's able to put it over to the audience and explain that. If you weren't picking it up, King points it out, so you can see what's happening out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And at one point, Austin hits the STF.
Dude.
So make John Cena proud. So.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Undertaker pulls out a single leg crab.
He does. I know. He gets the old Canadian Maple Leaf, man. Lance Storm. A single leg Boston Crab. I mean, are you kidding me? I thought that was so cool. But again, these guys are both showing ring psychology. They're both working that leg. So at one point, or in order for Austin to get out of that half crab, he rolls to the outside and he calls for a timeout. He does a little T symbol. I thought that was pretty funny. So,
back to the King when Austin pulls out the STF. King.
For one of those Ken Shamrock looking things called an STF. What? STF, King. If you move out of Memphis every now and then, you learn some of these holes. Oh, is that right? That's it.
I thought that was great, man. That was good. Oh man, yeah. Did you notice that Undertaker hits a brand new move in the ring? I forgot. He does like this weird, like he like arm wrenches his arm, and then he like does this high kick to Austin's face, almost like, remember when Rico or we step over their arm and kick him in the throat?
Yeah.
Remember that strange move he did? It was kind of like that, but Undertaker does like this high back heel kick thing. It was weird, but it was a new move to add to his repertoire. So I don't know if he ever does it again. It was neat. So.
We're seeing all sorts of new stuff in here, and Austin also does a figure four in here. Does like a spinning toe hold too. I mean, there's all sorts of interesting stuff in here as they're trying to tell the story of this match. Really cool stuff. They're both kind of like on each other's level. Neither guy gets an advantage this whole match. Neither guy is in control for very long. One guy will work a hold for a few minutes, do something, the other guy gets back up, and he gets right back. They keep fighting out of it. So they're kind of saying, okay, Austin is on Undertaker's level. He is right up there. He could win this match if it weren't for the Hart Foundation. Right,
exactly. Undertaker goes up for old school again. Of course, you can't do it twice in the same match. So Undertaker crotches him on the top rope, goes for a superplex, but Undertaker just kind of throws him off, and Austin does like a face plant, basically. And then Austin hits a jawbreaker. I mentioned a couple episodes ago how he did like a jawbreaker, and they codified stunner, like he can get all of it. JR kind of covers for that. So he does the same exact thing again here. So and then Undertaker lights him up with punches in the corner, and Austin hits this just a blatant low blow, just in front of the referee.
This is my favorite part of the whole match, because
go ahead. Yeah.
He kicks. He does the low blow right in front of the referee. Then the referee turns his back. It's Earl Hebner. Earl Hebner turns his back to check on the Undertaker, and Austin just flips him the double bird. Flips Earl Hebner the double bird behind his back. So Undertaker gets up and retaliates with his own low blow to Stone Cold. And as Austin goes down to sell that, Earl Hebner flips off Stone Cold Steve Austin. and the crowd pops huge for it. It's just hilarious spot in the middle of the match, man.
It's so funny, man.
It's like a house show thing.
Yeah, I know. It was like a house show thing. I thought the same exact thing. So it was hilarious, though. I laughed out loud watching it. It was so funny. Right after that, I think, is when Undertaker hits a choke slam, and it gets kind of a mixed reaction. You know, it's not all yays, it's not all boos. It's kind of a mix, you know, because they're like, crap, here's the end of the match. They don't really know who they want to win yet, you know, Austin or Taker. So the crowd doesn't really pop huge on that. But then Austin hits a stunner and goes for the pin. And as he goes for the pin, the ring bell rings.
Mm-hmm. Really weird. It seems like, did they botch the finish? Did somebody getting disqualified because of the low blows? It's real confusing. And then the camera turns, and it's Brian Pillman distracting the referee, ringing the bell, and distracting the referee, distracting Austin. Undertaker's able to use that distraction to sit up. He goes for Tombstone. Austin counters the Tombstone, tries to go for one of his own, and then Taker flips over. Oh, that spot always looks cool. And Undertaker hits he spikes him with his Tombstone, man. It's just, we know what's going to happen to Austin in a couple months with a Tombstone, and this was another one. He just got slammed on his head and is able to get the pinfall and defeat Stone Cold Steve Austin. Another successful title defense for The Undertaker.
Yeah, 20 minutes and 4 seconds, and again, that's a long match, but it told a good story. You know, I wasn't bored. If you're gonna nitpick, I would say some of that, headlock stuff in the middle, but the crowd was into it, man. They knew what they were doing. The wrestlers did. They knew exactly what they were doing. So.
Oh yeah.
But immediately after the bell rings, it's 1, 2, 3. Hart Foundation, the fans, they come over the barricade and start attacking Undertaker.
And I love that JR is saying, "Oh, this is going to cost these guys some money. They're going to be fined for this." And they said that during the match when they did the low blows too. They said, "Oh, that should result in a fine." It's just Michael Cole, Corey Graves. They never say stuff like that, man. They never act like any of this stuff has any kind of consequences. And I mean, that's just common sense wrestling stuff. That it makes you buy into it, makes you believe it's real. It's just part of keeping it real. And I miss when they used to say stuff like that.
Yeah, and we pointed that out with several things in this podcast with, JR saying so-and-so's been fined or they've been suspended, and just gives it more authenticity. They do point that out here. And so Austin attacks Brett in the wheelchair, and he takes a crutch to fight off the rest of the foundation, and Taker chokeslams Owen Hart, and Undertaker holds up the WWF belt, and he turns around into a Stone Cold Stunner and a couple works. So.
Yeah, and Undertaker's music is just playing this whole time. He lays there and he sells, and his music keeps playing. Nowadays it'd be Stone Cold's music that was playing right there, but Undertaker's music just keeps playing. And I thought I was going to go off the air with him laying there, but Austin runs out of the ring and goes after the Hart Foundation again. But Undertaker does get up pretty quickly, and he starts chasing back everybody towards the back as well. So he is able to get up and save face a little bit, but. Man, it goes to show you where the priorities were in the company right then, is the fact that Stone Cold, he might have lost the match, but he gets to hit the last move and kind of stand victorious there at the end, even though Undertaker's the champ. So, interesting. I'll just say that.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. So... Yeah, again, and all this stuff, again, we keep covering Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels and Steve Austin on this Talking Taker podcast, but again, all these storylines are flooding into each other. They're all crossing, and they will continue to do that for the remainder of this year, 1997. I feel like all these guys are going to crisscross the rest of the year, so we hope you guys enjoy that, because we definitely do, and all these episodes of Raw are really neat to go back and watch and relive, and again, just seeing when Russo takes over, how everybody has a storyline and everything means something. Again, he has a lot of misfires too, as we all know and are well documented. But definitely this beginning stage of his help with writing Raw and the storyline here is good. You can tell they want to beat Nitro. They're putting all their effort into it, and they're doing a good job. So. Oh,
absolutely. And it would take a long time before that would happen, but it's all really based on what's happening here. But we're going to cover all that in the weeks to come. That's going to about do it here for this episode of Talking Taker, our exploration through every single Undertaker pay-per-view match. We appreciate you for joining us in this part of the ride. We want you to keep on along with us on this journey, so you should subscribe to us or whatever you're listening on, whether it's on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, Podbean, YouTube, or somewhere else. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Leave us a rating or a comment. Let us know what you think of everything. And, of course, follow us along on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Talking Taker. On all those platforms, we post all throughout the week. We don't just post the episodes. We post previews, we post pictures, we post videos, all the fun stuff leading up to the match. You are welcome to watch all the Raws and pay-per-views along with us, but we'll show you some of the highlights on those pages to get you excited. We'll show you some exclusive stuff that's not on the WWE Network. We'll do all the digging on YouTube and Daily Motion and put that out there for you. And you can follow on the Instagram page, Talking Taker, a lot of exclusive old classic stuff of me and Travis's 2 journeys to WrestleMania and my journey to WrestleMania this year. A lot of fun stuff over there. And we love to interact with you on Twitter. I want to read a couple tweets from a follower who sent us a couple comments from our 2 weeks ago episode on WrestleMania 13. This is, I'm probably going to butcher this name, at HamaniCart617 Bodisan. I think that's his other handle on there, so sorry if I'm butchering those. I don't know. But he said that match from WrestleMania 13 has memories for 2 reasons. Number 1, being excited watching Taker come out with the classic gray-colored gloves that matched his boots that night, of course. And number 2, after the show was over, my dad made me write an apology to someone from an incident in school that I was a part of. So, of course, I had to ask him, all right, you got to tell us more about that. So I asked him if that incident was wrestling related. He said, sigh, yes, LOL. A bunch of us kids at the time were playing around during lunch, and I super kicked a kid in the shin, and I was sent to the principal's office. Mania was already ordered before the incident occurred, and I sat there watching the show, getting lost in all the moments. But by the end of the show, after Taker won the title, my dad reminded me of what I had done at school and made me sit back down and write an apology. So, I thought...
So, he could have originated Sweet Shin music, like Dude Love did. So, excellent. Well, thank you for that excellent commentary and memory from WrestleMania 13. Didn't you tell me, I don't think we recorded it, but you told me that you saw someone in a WrestleMania 13, jacket at Mania this past couple weeks ago. Whatever.
I did. He was also in Section 619, so shout out to that guy who had the vintage WrestleMania 13 jacket. That was pretty rad.
Awesome.
Thanks for the story, Bodhi-san. I thought it was a pretty relatable story. I remember a story with you, Travis. You weren't fighting anybody, but it involved some crotch chops in school directed at a certain teacher of ours. If you didn't get in trouble for something wrestling related in school back in the day, were you even really a wrestling fan? I mean, that's my question.
Right. Or there was that super kick on our friend Doug that the substitute teacher walked in and thought I legitimately kicked him in the chin and was about to write me up. Sent him to the principal's office. I had to get Doug to stand up and explain to her that we were just playing wrestling.
He sold it so well, dude.
He did, man. It was awesome. Great. If you were there at the Richmond Coliseum on May 11th of 1997, please let us know if you were there at the Richmond Coliseum. We want to know. And you go ahead and say what you're going to say.
That's perfect. I was going to say 2 other quick shout-outs for just a couple things out there. Undertaker fans, in case you missed them, we posted these up on our social media page. But there's an excellent article on The Ringer about The Undertaker that came out right before WrestleMania. It was kind of an oral history of sorts about him, interviews with a lot of people involved with him over the years, sort of about the creation and the mystique of that character, a long-form article. A lot of times on these more mainstream sites, when they write about wrestling, it's not very good, it's kind of cheesy, or it's a lot of stuff you already knew. This one was excellent. I really recommend going out of your way to watch this or read this one. And then Travis, I think you wanted to point out the WWE 24 special on Raw 25 is a good watch for Undertaker fans.
Yeah, it gives a little backstage out of character glimpse at the Undertaker, at Mark Calloway, and he's in the limo getting ready to arrive at Raw 25, and you can tell that he doesn't have as long a hair as we saw at WrestleMania, but he interacts with X-Pac, and it's pretty funny. And just seeing him out of character and talk about it, and talk about being at the Manhattan Center and how he was there on the first Raw and in the main event, and it's just his interaction with X-Pac is worth watching. I'm not going to spoil it, people, but let us know if you guys watched it and what you thought about him and X-Pac and Lula. It's pretty funny. So
I did enjoy that. I appreciated that.
Yeah.
And of course, don't forget to pick up your Talking Taker Easy t-shirt over at TeePublic.com. Travis is rocking his right now. I rocked mine at WrestleMania. I'm wearing my 1998 Stone Cold Steve Austin WWF Attitude shirt, authentic, my middle school t-shirt. I'm rocking that right now. I had to pull it out for the Stone Cold Steve Austin episode, the first of many Stone Cold Steve Austin episodes of Talking Taker. So I will be busting this out many times, and I'll throw a picture of that up on the Instagram page. So you can get your own Taker Easy t-shirt, and they might be on sale right now. I think the April sale on TeePublic is going on as we speak. So go get it cheap, and man, it's not just t-shirts, it's hoodies, stickers, onesies, mugs. You can get all sorts of Taker Easy stuff, man. So go check it out and support our show.
Other than that, ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you next week on Talking Taker. Take her easy.
Showing off her t-shirt, Austin 316. Austin 316 on the front, Stone Cold Skull on the back. Only $20 plus shipping and handling, and that is a fact. Comes in small, medium, large, extra, large, and double XL. This t-shirt is for those that like to raise a little hell. Ooh, do it, sonny. What's she wearing underneath that shirt? I don't know. Austin 316 is what it's all about. You know where Sonny knows how to wear it. You know where her t-shirt would look great, McMahon? Where's that? On the floor in my bedroom. All right. Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Sonny!